Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Our first story is a little different. It's about family, hard work, and the weirdest argument over being paid. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. The one time we had to fight to not get paid. Backstory. This happened a few years ago, but I remember it well. My sister and her guy were living together and had a pond. He didn't realize how terrible they are to clean and asked my brother and I to come help him clean it. It was a big pond, like 3 foot by 3 foot and 1 foot deep at least, and we told him it'd take most of the day because we are absolutely not experts. Just a note, none of us mentioned money. We figured he was with our sister for so long that he was family, and he thought he was just going to pay us what he felt was right. To the story. We go over on a regular Arizona summer day, so it was hot as hell. We realized he was out still, so we shrugged and got to it. About an hour or so in, he shows up with breakfast for himself and us. We joked for a few while we ate and then went back to work. He helped out and it was coming along nice until we found a massive centipede and we stopped to figure out how the F do we move that thing. Then, of course, dared each other to do some dumb crap to grab it because we're guys. We finally get it out and move it to the bushes when brother-in-law says he has to leave, hops in his car, and is gone for another hour. B and I just keep at it, scrubbing the algae and gunk out, stopping occasionally to hide from the sun. Brother-in-law shows back up with lunch, expensive burgers. I don't remember from where, but they were divine. We eat and laugh about how well it's coming along, and brother-in-law goes inside for a hat. B and I joked that we made out like bandits because we just wanted a 12-pack and a pizza to help and got 2 full meals. When brother-in-law comes back out, we finish the last 2 hours of sterilizing and prepping the thing for fish. He asks us to set up a cover to keep cats out. We figure it out and start filing it. Brother-in-law disappears again and comes out with a wad of cash. This is where the weirdest fight of my life happens. Brother-in-law, hey, thanks a ton, guys. That sucked, so I figured $1.50 each. B and I looked at each other confused. Brother-in-law, $150 for each of you? Not enough? Fine, $200, last offer. B, dude, we're family. We came over to hang out like we do and help make a crappy job more fun. Me, besides, you fed our fat butts twice today. I think we're good. Brother-in-law, right, so you can lord it over me later? No, take the cash. B, $200, are you insane? Family, at least the parts we like, we help just to hang with them. The crappiest job can be fun with the right company. Brother-in-law, I will pay you. I do not do the favor game. I always lose there. Me, seeing we were going nowhere, $20 total. It buys us dinner on the way home. That way you fed us all day. B looked at me and realized the same thing I did. It was more of a pride thing for brother-in-law, I think, and nodded his agreement. Brother-in-law, no, you worked all day and deserve more. B, you fed us and helped, man. $20 is fair enough. Brother-in-law, $100. Me, $20 total. Take it or leave it. Brother-in-law, each. I don't want to rip you guys off. B and I, done, grabbed our cash and left, very confused. Later that night, we found out from our sister that since he has money, no one, even his own family, will just help him. He started to come around that we like him and help just to harass him while we work. However, he does fall back sometimes to the this cannot be mindset sometimes. Edit, it was 3x3 in yards, not feet. I figured I'd update this even though I kind of forgot for a bit. This is actually such a wholesome, kind of weird fight. Your brother-in-law's clearly used to people only doing things for him if there's money involved. So when you and your brother just helped because you liked him, it completely broke his brain. And our second story. Son screwed me out of a sale, so I got his mom to put him in his place. This happened a few years back. I was a telemarketer in the best telemarketing job you could get. I was basically calling old people who'd been off contract for a year or so and getting them onto new plans that saved them money. It was really rewarding. They often got to save $20 or more per month. The company got 2 more years of contract, and I got paid. Everyone wins. Anyway, I called this little old lady. She used the internet occasionally, but not as much as her late husband. She didn't know much about the services as he normally handled the bills, and I had just dutifully paid the bill each month. I looked at her account and I immediately saw that she was paying way too much for her services. I told her as such and offered the best services based on her usage as I could. Ended up with a total savings of around $80 per month, which is a hell of a lot for anyone, let alone a pensioner. After all the scripts had been read and I'd entered the sales into processing, the old lady tearfully thanked me for saving her money and said that she was going to put the saved money aside for a holiday. Enter the son. He apparently freaked out when his mother told him about the sales call. He immediately assumed I cheated his mother out of money and called my company raging about me. The sale got reversed. There was a 48-hour grace period before sales were final, and I lost out on a good commission. I was pissed. Not only had the son screwed me over, but he'd also screwed his elderly mother out of money. It was then I began to form a plan to get back at him. I spoke to my manager and explained what was going on and convinced her to put a call back into the system to the old lady. I called the old lady and explained what happened. As soon as I began to explain that the order had been canceled, she exploded about her son, constantly sticking his nose where it didn't belong. She quickly agreed to my plan and called up her son on her mobile to get him to drive over immediately. He lived about 5 minutes away. I'll call the son S, the old lady OL, and me as me. OL. Hey S, the nice man from the other day is on the phone with me. Would you like to speak to him? S. Oh, what the F is he calling back for? I told him not to call us back. OL. Well, he wants to speak to you specifically. There's a moment where the phone is changing hands. S. What the hell do you want, mate? I told you not to call back. Me. Of course, but I wanted to be absolutely clear that you really wanted the order canceled. S. Of course I want it canceled. That's what I told you effers to do. Me. I appreciate where you're coming from, but could I please explain the changes I had pending in the system? S. Why? Me. Can I please just explain it? Then if you don't want them, I won't bother you again. S. Fine, go ahead. Me. Excellent. Well, your mother's paying $50 for her phone line. She never makes STD calls, so I dropped the line to a plan without them. She can still make free local calls, and the cost is down to $30 a month. The internet's currently $60 a month and gives her 100 gigabytes of data, but in the last 3 years, she's never used more than 10 gigabytes per month, so I dropped it down to 25 gigabytes per month, and it's now $30 a month. On her mobile, she never uses the internet, and the plans are the same otherwise, so I dropped it down from $59 a month to $29 a month. S. Okay. Me. So she was paying $169 a month and would now pay $89 a month for all 3 services. S. So what stops me from going to a company shop and getting it done there? Me. Well, your mother said she struggles to get around and she's the only one handling the bill, so she'd need to be there in person. I can get it done right now, no trouble. S. Well, I'll just call in OL in background. GDS, would you stop being such an ill-calcitrant little jerk and let the man do his job? He's going to save me some money, and that's good enough for me. Quit giving him grief and let him do it already. S. Okay. GD. OL. Good. Now bugger off and stop causing me trouble. I might be old, but I'm not bloody senile. And you'd be best to remember that I'm your mom at the end of the day. Pause. Go on, get back to work. The phone's handed back to the old lady, and I hear a door slam in the background. The old lady bursts out laughing, and we both end up laughing at him. She told me that it was great fun, and it's a pity we can't do it again to make it stick. We had to do the scripts again, but she didn't mind. And at the end of the call, she told me that if I ever came through her town, to come and drop by for a cup of tea and a biscuit. She was a lovely old lady. Most of them are. I left that job about 6 years ago, but I still think fondly on some of those calls. Don't ever underestimate the elderly. They have you on experience and can be incredibly crafty. On one hand, I can't blame the son. There's so many shady telemarketing companies out there that seem to prey upon the elderly. He probably assumed this was the case. And our last story. My parents built their dream home next to a nightmare. I, 25-year-old male, have been living away from home ever since I graduated from college, but I still stay in close contact with my parents. They both retired recently and, after years of saving, finally decided to build their dream retirement home in Charleston, South Carolina. My parents had lived in the city for the past decade and loved the idea of settling down somewhere quiet but still close enough to everything. They found a perfect empty lot in a nice neighborhood where an old house had recently been demolished. The previous owner, a wealthy real estate investor, decided the land was worth more without the structure, so my parents snapped it up as soon as it hit the market. Everything seemed to be going smoothly until they realized they'd built their dream home right next door to a nightmare. The trouble started when my parents had to cut down a large oak tree in the front yard of their lot. It was a beautiful tree, no doubt, and they hated to remove it, but unfortunately it was in the way of construction, and there was no way to build around it. They hired a tree removal service and had it taken down. A few days later, my dad, John, was at the site checking in with the construction crew. As he was about to leave, he saw a woman in her late 50s walk out of the house next door to check her mailbox. Now, my dad's an easygoing guy. He's always been the type to introduce himself and get along with neighbors. Wanting to be polite, he walked over and said, "Hi, my name's John, and my wife and I are going to be your new neighbors once the house is done. Just wanted to introduce myself." He barely got the words out before she glared at him like he'd just kicked her dog. "My name's none of your business," she snapped. Before my dad could even respond, she launched into a full-blown tirade. "You ruined my life when you cut down my tree. I still can't believe how selfish you people are. You should be ashamed of yourselves." My dad was completely caught off guard. Her tree? He pointed out that she had a perfectly healthy oak tree in her backyard, but she wasn't hearing it. She stormed back inside without another word, slamming the door behind her. Later, when my parents met their other neighbors, they learned that Karen had been like this for years. No one liked her. In fact, the elderly couple on the other side of her house had been so fed up with her nonsense that they were selling their home just to get away from her. And sure enough, Karen soon lived up to her reputation. For the next several months, every time my parents came to check on the house, Karen found something to complain about. First, she threatened to call the police on the construction crew, claiming they were making too much noise at noon. Then she accused them of using illegal labor and threatened to report them to ICE. My dad mentioned this to the owner of the construction company, who promptly sent a formal cease and desist letter threatening a lawsuit if she interfered. That must have worked because ICE never showed up. Then she tried to have my parents' car towed for illegal parking when they parked on the curb in front of their own house. The tow truck driver took one look at the situation and told Karen he'd be sending her a bill for wasting his time if she called again. She was absolutely relentless in her crusade to avenge a tree she never even owned. But despite her best efforts, construction finished on schedule and my parents moved in after the holidays. On moving day, my mom told me she caught Karen watching them from her window, scowling. My parents braced themselves for more trouble, but then something incredible happened. A few weeks ago, a massive storm hit the area. Charleston had been dealing with harsh winter weather, and the winds that night were brutal. By morning, one tree in the neighborhood had fallen. It missed her house, but it absolutely crushed her brand new Jaguar. According to my parents, Karen's reaction was one for the ages. She stepped outside, took one look at the wreckage, and let out a blood-curdling scream like something out of a horror movie. Not only did she have to pay for tree removal, but she also had to pay to tow her destroyed car, and then she had to rent a vehicle while figuring out what to do next. Within days, a real estate sign went up in front of Karen's house. Karen didn't even wait to sell the house before she left. She moved out immediately. And to this day, my parents have no idea where she went. They only know that she's gone. My mom said the entire neighborhood celebrated when she drove off for the last time. Karen spent months making her parents' lives miserable over a tree that wasn't even hers. And in the end, the universe hit her right in the wallet. I love that she was so determined to be miserable that she didn't even wait to sell her house before bolting. She probably left claw marks on the steering wheel of her rental car as she fled the neighborhood. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.